NFL coverage. City News on 97.3 FM. Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Ino Safo.
And coming up, over the next 90 minutes, 3 persons shot in the Kajibi district of the Oti region over disagreements relating to the sale of cocoa beans. We'll be going live for an update on that story. Also coming up, Electoral Commission justifies decision to close next year's polls at 3 p.m. We'll be hearing from stakeholders in the electoral space. And later on Eyewitness News, Madina MP Francis Xavier Sosu proposes a new bill in Parliament that may see 2 holidays for the Muslims Eid as part of the public holidays of Ghana. He's joining me for Point Blank. That will be at 6:30. We also have business news coming up in the next 50 minutes, and the headline:
Taxpayers to suffer from government's excessive tax waivers to companies. This is according to tax analyst Francis Timorboy.
That's in 50 minutes from the City Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a host of affiliate stations. If you're going outside Accra and wondering how to listen to Eyewitness News, not to worry, because if you're going to the Savannah region, you can catch us on 99.5 FM. That's Kasha in Damongo. In the Volta region, we are on Sela Radio 97.1 FM in Dabala, Holy 98.5 FM in Aplau. If you're headed for the Ashanti region, we are live on Focus 94.3 FM and Orange 107.9 FM, both of them in Kumasi. In Takrade, in the Western region, you can listen to us on Beach 105.5 FM or Sky Power 93.5 FM. In the Northeast region, we are in Nalerigu on Nobia 98.1 FM. In the Northern region, we are in the capital Tamale on North Star 92.1 FM. In the Upper East region, we are on Rekas 92.1 FM in Bongo, Namo. In the Upper West, on Jirapa's 96.1 FM in Jirapa. Also, Tumpani Radio 88.5 FM in Nadoli. We're live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. We're live on citynewsroom.com. We are interactive. Join us on WhatsApp 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. You can also send tweets using the hashtag City Newsroom. Tweet at Umaru Sanda or at City973. Let's start off with electoral matters now. And there's a story on the website of City News, citynewsroom.com. That is, election 2024, EC justifies proposal to close polls at 3 p.m. The story has a picture of Jean Mensah, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. And it says the Electoral Commission has justified the decision to shift the closing time of voting from 5 p.m. to 3 p.m. during the upcoming 2024 general elections. The EC chairperson, Jean Mensah, emphasized that this adjustment aims to facilitate the transparent and orderly collation of votes by electoral officers in broad daylight. Addressing participants at an inter-party dialogue and stock-taking conference organized by the National Peace Council in Accra on Thursday, that's December 14, Mrs. Mensah highlighted that the proposal is grounded in the lessons learned from the 2020 elections, where approximately 70% of voting centers witnessed minimal activity by 1 p.m. Mrs. Mensah emphasized that this adjustment aims to diminish the long queues that have historically characterized elections, streamlining the voting process for citizens. Quote, in 2020, 70% of our polling centers had a voter threshold of 500 and below. This time, we intend to ensure that all our polling station centers have a threshold of 500 voters and below. In the same vein, we'll increase the number of our polling stations nationwide. The quote continues, we believe that this will go a long way to reduce the long queues that characterize our elections and allow for a smooth, seamless, hassle-free voting process. In 2020, it took voters not more than 5 minutes to cast their votes due to the introduction of this policy. Based on our 2020 experience and also feedback from several observer groups, we propose to close the polls at 3 p.m. Our experience in 2020 reveals that by 1 p.m., 70% of our polling stations were empty of voters, as most voters had cast their votes. This made it possible because the threshold of most polling centers was reduced to 500 voters per voting center. This was coupled with the robust verification devices that were deployed to the polling centers. We are convinced that by closing the polls at 3 p.m., we'll be able to count and collate in broad daylight, and this will promote the needed transparency and orderliness that we so desire, Mrs. Mensah said. So that's the story. Let's get some perspectives and reactions to this. Mustafa Agbandi is a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC in charge of operations. Mus, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. It sounds like a good news for all of us, isn't it?
Good evening, Omar, and thank you for having me. First of all, reforms are always good news, but such reforms must be directed at producing better results. And as far as elections are concerned, transparency, credible processes are very important. So the Electoral Commissioner would have to bring a postmortem of the effects of the previous arrangement, and then we can look at the arrangement. At the end of the day, and give us a credible will conduct the election and ensure that results are detected without problems. You recall the invasion of security forces in 2020. If all these things can be prevented, the NDC is fully for it. But until then, we again believe that that should go to IPAC for consensus building around the political parties who are active. Then we can take it out from there.
But the proposition makes sense, doesn't it? That we start the coalition at 3 p.m. By 6 p.m., we pretty much know what's up, and then there wouldn't be a big problem with the post-election violence or the post-voting violence, don't you think?
Well, you recall that in most instances, it's the Electoral Commission itself that do not get the polling stations and voting.
Hello, Mustafa, I'm really having difficulties hearing you. Can you hear me?
So the network is so bad.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm saying that you recall instances where it is the Electoral Commission itself that its workers do not get to registration and voting centers on time. So it's kind of that officers get to work on time, get to voting centers on time, so that things start time that is agreed.
Hello, Mustafa. Hello. Apologies. The line to Mustafa Agbandi is a bit tricky. We'll try and re-establish connection with him. The story we are following here is the one that has to do with the Electoral Commission's proposal for polls to close at 3 p.m. We do know that currently the situation is that the electoral poll is opened at 7 a.m. on election day. That's December 7. Every 4 years, people troop to the center. There are people who go to queue sometime before the voting starts. Materials are brought by the electoral officers. Election starts. Now, throughout the day, people would vote up until 5 p.m. in all the over 30,000 polling centers across the country. After 5 p.m., sorting would be done for the parliamentary and also for the presidential ballot papers, because we vote for both presidential and parliamentary candidates on the same day. Now, after this sorting is done, the declaration is made for who has won what at that particular polling station, and these results are then transmitted to the collation centers. All polling stations in a constituency would bring their ballot boxes and also their pink sheets to the coalition center, which is typically the district office of the Electoral Commission or any agreed place, which is like an assembly point where agents would arrive with ballot boxes where the collation will be done deep into the night. First of all, the declaration is made for the member of parliament elect based on the tabulation of all the pink sheets that would have come to the collation center from all the polling centers. Then the one for the presidential is transmitted forwards towards the regional office, which would then be transmitted to the national headquarters of the Electoral Commission, which Electoral Commission would then, after tabulating all the results from the 16 regions now, we can then have a better and clearer picture on who won the presidential elections. And then the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, who is the returning officer of that election, makes the declaration. At the district level, the returning officer, there being the district officer of the EC, would declare the parliamentary candidate elect. And then the presiding officer at the polling station would have also told us who has won what at each of the polling stations. So that's currently the procedure. But we do also know that in the past, a lot of the times the delivery of electoral materials to hard to reach places, areas that you can describe as island communities usually have challenges where sometimes as late as midday, some of these polling centers or even whole constituencies would be reporting that they have not received electoral materials, and that usually becomes a problem on election day. There are times that elections are not conducted at all for a number of challenges, including the non-delivery of voting materials, and they are having to vote on another day as will be decided by the Electoral Commission. That's one of the challenges that we're hoping to hear from the Electoral Commission, how that would be solved. And we're listening there to Mustafa Gbandi of the NDC. Unfortunately, the telephone line has not been helpful for us, and so we've not been able to take that up. We're also trying to see if we can hear from other stakeholders, including the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers and, of course, the governing New Patriotic Party on this proposal by the Electoral Commission to close polls at 3 p.m. So that is the story that we have an eye on here on the City Newsroom. Talking about elections, on Tuesday, assembly members or persons who are hoping to be assembly members are going to be voted for. That will be on Tuesday 19th December is the local assembly elections. And we have a story from the National Association of Local Government Authorities. Eno has that story for us. Eno?
The National Association of Local Authorities of Ghana is calling on stakeholders to support and consider voting for women aspirants in the upcoming district assembly elections. NALAC's call follows its deliberate effort to encourage and boost women participation in local governance. In a meeting with the press, the president for the National Association of Local Authorities of Ghana, Nana Eric Prempe, explained that the decision to vote for more women in the upcoming polls will help bridge the huge gap in gender participation in local government.
This press conference to make a passionate appeal to all Ghanaians of voting age to fully participate in the upcoming district level election, and most importantly, vote massively for more women. The number of female assembly members saddens my heart. I must say, it's nothing to write home about, and together we must break the bias with all our might. We believe this is the time to make a massive change and bring more women to the various assemblies. To increase women participation at the local level of governance, NALAC has partnered with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to implement the Partnership for Municipal Innovation Women in Leadership project. The CCS project is taking place in 5 countries.
Nana Eric Prempe is president for the National Association of Local Authorities. As the Bono region gears up for the upcoming district and unit committee level elections, women aspirants are expressing confidence in their chances of securing victory and actively contributing to development in their electoral areas. This election has witnessed a notable rise in the number of female aspirants at the unit committee level, with 952 aspirants in total vying for district positions and 2,123 candidates at the unit committee level, consisting of 1,658 males and 465 females. The electoral landscape in the region reflects increased participation. The Bono Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, Guggersberg Samuel Esrifi Young, highlighted the extensive preparations ahead of the election.
At the moment, we have taken delivery of more than 95% of our materials for the elections. The only thing we are expecting now is the ballot papers, which this morning I was directed to dispatch the regional vehicle to Accra to bring the ballot papers tomorrow. So all things being equal, the ballot papers, which is the only very important material left, will be in the region by tomorrow to clamour all the materials we need for the elections. All the materials received have been dispatched to the various districts. So we are now awaiting for the ballot papers to do so, to complete the materials we need for elections. As I speak with you, training of officials for the elections is ongoing at the various districts. And once we have the materials, we have the officials who are going to work at the respective polling stations, then we can say with all the confidence that we are ready for the election.
Bono Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, Guggersberg Samuel Esrifi Young. Despite the relatively low representation of women in the elections, those who are contesting remain hopeful of securing victory.
I have 2 men contesting, and what I know is that I have done my part. And, as a woman, you go through a lot of intimidation, name calling, harassment. If I tell you what they are doing, you won't believe it. But I know that at the end of the day, I have to stand for my people because I'm representing a whole population, the women, the children, the aged, everybody. So you can't just come and be saying a whole lot of unnecessary things and then I'll be bothered by that. No, I'm focused, I'm campaigning, the grounds are fertile. I don't want to say it's hands down this thing, but I know at the end of the day, the people of Wadan will look at my good work in the past 4 years and then they will give me another second chance.
I'm incumbent assembly member for Ababo number 2 in the Doma Central in the Bono region. So far the campaign is going very well. But sometimes we the women, we need some support. So we urge if there will be any support for us. But I've not encountered any problem or challenges so far. So the campaign is going very well. My expectation is I want all the electorate or the people in Aboabo number 2 to come and vote for me massively so that I will become the assembly member and continue the good work I'm doing. Or as my motto says, retain for progress. So I want them to vote for me to retain for progress.
Those were some female aspirants in the upcoming district level elections in the Bono region.
So let's go back to that proposal by the Electoral Commission for voting to end by 3 p.m. on election day in 2024. We're speaking to Mustafa Gbandi earlier, his Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. We lost him. Let's go to the NPP side. Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communications of the NPP. Rich, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. What do you make of this proposal to close polls at 3 p.m.?
Mario, thank you. I think that we received that. I think it's been the existing proposal by the EC. But we received that with some cautious optimism to the extent that the EC can provide us the necessary comfort that electorates would not be found wanting on the day of election. But assuming that they provide that comfort for us, I think it's ideal for us to be able to close the polls early and ensure that collation and things that needs to be done in order to declare the results are done in daylight before dark. So I think that is the import of the proposal, but we first need to be sure that it will not result in people being turned away.
How high up have these conversations gone?
As high as it can go, because it is the heart of the entire electoral process that the provision is made for voters who are qualified, whose names are in the register to vote. And so if any decision is being taken that may shortchange voters, I think that would go directly against the dictate of democracy. So we don't want to be too optimistic about this proposal, except that the EC will have to assure us, because otherwise we'll be doing ourselves in and affecting democracy in that direction. So we're hopeful that comfort to be provided, and if all of it goes well, I think that is a good idea that we'll finish early before it's late.
Based on your knowledge of how electoral processes have been in the past, closing at 3 p.m. looks positive for those who are concerned about what happens in darkness, where some communities there may be no electricity or light for the sorting and the counting. That is good on that side. But then we also have the other challenge where electoral materials are not delivered on time in some polling stations, and that becomes a problem. What would you say should be the middle ground?
Yeah, so we don't have a full view of that provision. That's why we're expecting the EC to provide us some comfort. So this is one of the assurances that we'll need going forward, just to understand how the EC is going to execute on the day to ensure that we don't get to a point where there are delays and materials are not on time, and actually then needing to push the polls beyond 3 p.m. In addition to that, I would think that this should not be cast in stone. It should be on a case-by-case basis, be the ideal situation that we want to close at 3 p.m., but a situation where there are difficulties, adjustments can be made based on some of these anticipated delays that you've referenced. But I think the EC should be clear and organized and demonstrate to all stakeholders that it has what it takes to ensure that the polls open on time and therefore can close at 3. And by 3 o'clock, anybody who is in line will be allowed to vote, and this can be done orderly without having to affect people's right to express themselves.
I'm seeing publications elsewhere, and I don't know if you have information on this, that your colleagues in the NDC have returned to IPAC. Is that something that you can confirm? I know that there was some Peace Council meeting.
Yes, at that particular Peace Council meeting, I think I was there, and as we speak now, there's a Peace Council meeting going on. That should be the ideal position. Whatever made them elect to remove themselves, they've always had a seat at the table. So I'm sure that conversation has happened many times, and I thought that they'll be back by now, but there is every strong indication that they want to come back. And I think it's good for our democracy if they show up.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Richard Anyagba. He's Director of Communication of the New Patriotic Party, giving us the view that he has there on the Electoral Commission's proposal. Jean Mensah proposing that polls close at 3 p.m. And you've heard the issue about caution. Let's go back to the NDC and conclude. Mustafa Gbande, hopefully on a better line. Mustafa, so I've just finished speaking to your colleague on the NPP side. He also welcomes this with some caution of a sort. It sounds good, but of course, some more assurance would be needed from the Electoral Commission. How high up, again, I'll ask you that question, the same question I asked him, have these conversations gone up on about the possibility of closing the polls at 3 p.m.? Is it a decision or is it a proposition from the EC?
That will depend upon the processes that the EC will get engaged in, whether or not the EC will make that a subject matter of consultation and a subject matter of consensus building. And that will determine at the end of the day whether it is an imposition or not. But I do say that for us, we welcome reforms, Omar, that will give Ghanaians a feeling, a relief that there is a credible, transparent election at the end of the day. We have resolved as a party that we are going into 2024 with a full force. We are going into an election to win. Rigging that election 2024 is a great impossibility and will be resisted with all force. And so it beholds on the EC to want to give all political parties the assurance of a transparent election. That will be a big relief for this country. But again, there is early days yet. We'll see as the conversation unfolds what our technical directors will advise the party to do, what the NPP will come up with, what other parties will come up with. Then at the end of the day, what we are advocating for again comes back to the table that EC must make IPAC a consensual building forum and not a debate forum. If we are able to cross that bridge, I believe that it is hope for this country.
All right. About IPAC, I'm seeing publications that your party has returned to IPAC. Is that true?
We give a condition, and that condition must be. Yes, I'm there. That condition must be fulfilled.
And what
that condition is that if only the EC can make IPAC a consensual building body, the NDC will come. If it is not ready to do that, then there's no point coming there.
You are also having a National Peace Council meeting that all parties are being brought together. Any highlights that you want to share with us if you are there in that meeting yourself?
Our representation were very simple, and that is what I've just stated, that we are willing to be part of IPAC if it is a consensual building body. It is not a parliament where a decision is taken for debate and EC lobbying political parties to vote against a certain political party. We should build consensus towards building transparent processes, and that is very important.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Mustafa Gbande. He's Deputy General Secretary of the NDC in charge of operations. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll be back with more. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Charlie, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that?
Yes, so
somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched.
Sancho Panza.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman Mane. Chairman. Hey, Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
It is your time to vote for your assembly members and unit committee members.
Citizens of Ghana, this is an urgent call from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE. District level election is here again. This year's election will take place on the 19th of December 2023. Every 4 years, Ghanaians are enjoined to elect citizens to serve as assembly and unit committee members to help facilitate the development of your community and the district. The time to exercise that civic duty is now. On Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, visit your voting center between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. with your valid voter's ID card and cast your vote to elect your preferred candidate. Remember, democracy begins at the local governance level. Your vote counts. Vote for development change agents. Vote for Ghana. A message from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. Let me bring some of the messages that you've been sending through. Jones Adoboy in La says, as much as the Electoral Commissioner will be able to put measures in place that will not disenfranchise any eligible voter, he welcomes this particular proposal. He looks forward to it. He says Ghanaians are not angry enough. Zilis Dwayne in London says all we need is a peaceful election, and that's in relation to the proposal that polls should be closed at 3 p.m. Next year during the election. Let me know what you also think. 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. Let's now go to the OT region where we're receiving this story that 3 persons have been shot following clashes between Cocoa Board Task Force and farmers at Ahamanso Junction. There's a story on myjoyonline.com by Prince Edu Owusu, and the story says 3 persons have been shot in Ahamanso Junction in the Oti region following a clash between the Cocoa Board Task Force and some farmers. The man who is in charge of security, overall security in the district, is the district chief executive for KJB in the Oti region, Wilson Agbanyo. He's joined us on the line. Mr. Agbanyo, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much.
Can you confirm to us what exactly happened in Ahamanso Junction?
Okay, thank you. Yesterday I was in a meeting when I had a call from somebody that there was something happening to Junction in my district. So I quickly called the NID officer, Mr. Wari, to walk to the scene and report back to me what really was happening. So within 1 hour, he reported to me what was happening. Every year. Hello?
I'm listening to you, sir.
Yeah, every year during the cocoa season, they always deploy Cocoa Board and National Security. They deploy officers to the border towns. And so this year, they came for that deployment. And so I was told that yesterday around 6:30 a.m., they accosted somebody with a bag of cocoa on a motorbike. So the National Security and the Cocoa Board people, where they are operating from at Ahamanso Junction, arrested them and they asked him where he was sending the cocoa beans to. He said he was going to sell them at the PBC. So they did not believe this. Then if that is the thing, he should move with the motorbike so that they follow him, go to the PBC where they can buy the cocoa beans. While they were moving from Ahamanso Junction to the PBC where the PBC is, when they got to the station, the one on the bike with the cocoa beans swept them with the motorbike and passed through another lane and went back to Ahamanso. So they traced him. By the time they got to Ahamanso Junction, they arrested him with 2 people who wanted to stop the National Security and the Cocoa Board people from arrest him. So finally, according to the report, they arrest him.
Mr. Agbanyo?
Hello?
I do know that you are moving. Would it be possible that you just stop briefly so we can...
I didn't stop.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's fine. Proceed. So proceed then. We'll try and make sense of it.
So when there are some opinion leaders around Ahamanso Junction, police commander and the NIB officers said, looking at the situation, the national security officials will release the guy so that they'll send him to police and let them know what to do. They also refused that, they will not release it. Then they continue. Finally, when they persuaded them, they agreed that then they will take the boy in one of their community members to the police station. Then one of the community members told to use a knife on the security. And so the way the crowd was coming, one of them wanted to disperse the crowd by, I don't know what really happened, using the gun, disperse them, one in shot. And he missed it and affected the people from the community. And they rushed them to the hospital, Mary Teresa, and 2 was not severe. As I speak to you yesterday, they released the 2 of them. Like, it's only 1 of them now at the hospital. That's the report I had. I asked.
I see. So the ones who opened fire are the Cocoa Board Task Force members?
They are the Task Force, Cocoa Board Task Force members in conjunction with the National Security. They are the people doing the operation.
Yeah, so where did the gunshots come from?
I am told the report I had from one of the National Security officers.
So it was the National Security officers who fired in an attempt to disperse the crowd?
Yeah, because one of the community members used knife on one of the officers.
Is it the case that these community members do not agree with the work that is being done over this particular cocoa issues?
Smuggling is illegal. And just as we say, in every house there are some recalcitrant ones that will always try to do it. And so when somebody is accosted, there will be some of them who want to prevent the people. I'm sure that's the scenario, what happened.
So they were simply trying to, maybe they were in on all of this smuggling that was happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure the way the thing happened and they arrested the other, one of the guys, they were not happy. And they wanted the guy to be released. And that cannot be, because if you are caught in smuggling and they arrested you, you have to be sent to the police station. When the police also ask the national security, release this guy so that we send to the police station so that the law takes its course. I don't know whether it was an issue of mistrust. They didn't want to release it immediately until they were persuaded. So that time factor, that caused the whole thing.
What's the way forward? Are there some persons who are going to be arrested, or because calm has returned, does it?
No, the way forward is that because I was not around, I called for an emergency dissect meeting tomorrow morning so that I can be briefed well, and I'll go to the community, also get in touch with them, what happened. Then we can take it from there, please.
Thank you so much. But you have an assurance, or you can assure us that peace returned to the community?
The peace has returned already to the community. That one I can assure you, please.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
That's Wilson Agbanyo. He's a district chief executive for KJB in the OT region. And what other stories do you have for us?
The flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has announced plans to set up factories in all cocoa growing areas. This, he explained, will help add value and address the perennial problem of post-harvest losses and low crop prices. Addressing a Durbar of chiefs, farmers, drivers, artisans, and other groups in Budi in the Western North region, the NDC leader expressed confidence that the establishment of the processing factories will create more jobs, value, and help the farmers earn more money for themselves and their families.
Cocoa beans, no, and no any other amanone. Cocoa abano, yet the call amanonia.
Foreigners make more money when they buy our cocoa beans. Usually, farmers do not make that much when they sell. That is why my government will do its best to set up factories in all cocoa growing areas across the country.
NDC, yeah, say, baby, a cocoa beer, your baby a factory or home. Send a bedroom, maybe cocoa abano, young fan, nibium, ya be a sefata, say, yeah.
Flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama. The Minority Chief Whip, Govans Agbaja, has warned of the possible abuse of cannabis following the maturity of the legislative instrument to regulate its cultivation and management by the government. The LI seeks to streamline the use of cannabis for medicinal and industrial purposes after the parent law was passed by Parliament. The Minority Chief Whip, Govans Agbaja, reacting to the regulation, says it will degenerate the mental health condition rather than improve the economic fortunes of the country.
I heard colleagues make reference to even Zimbabwe. Mr. Speaker, just last month, let me remind them, the Herald of Zimbabwe. My colleague, Dafameko, just talked about how efficient and protected the system is. The Herald of Zimbabwe said, last year, only 2,500 tons of wheat or the product was exported legally. Over 300,000 tons was exported illegally. Where is the control you are talking about there? So this idea that we are doing this and it's going to be under a certain control. Mr. Speaker, I keep asking them, look, the ranking talked about HTC. Unfortunately, the young man abusing weed in this country is not going to take whatever he got to a laboratory to test the HTC content before he smokes. And THC. And none of you is ever talking about the potential of abuse and how that can degenerate into mental health problem we already have in this country. Why are we pretending that this is going to solve our problem? Minister, do you even know how many people in this country are smoking weed illegally? To the extent that you are saying that you are going to license people and show them where to grow the weed, and you have the ability. In fact, Speaker, even electricity that the sources we produce are known. We are unable to police the amount of electricity we produce in this country. You are now talking about giving license to people to produce weed. In fact, Mr. Speaker, whilst I don't have the potential of stopping this, Mr. Speaker, the fact is that Ghana is blessed enough with gold, diamond, everything. In fact, just recently we passed e-levy. None of this is able to save our country. In any case, do you know how much Zimbabwe earned? The highest they've earned, $130 million. So is this the reason we are coming to expose ourselves even to much risk? Why from this thing that we is coming to save our economy? That it's we. What do you mean that it's not we? It's we. What is this thing that we is coming to solve our economy? Save our economy. Mr. Speaker, I believe the cost of mental degeneration versus Mr. Speaker, if anybody enjoys smoking, I don't have a problem with you. But to say that Ghana is coming, all the countries you mentioned, which of these countries' economy have gotten better since they started growing weed? Mr. Speaker, all the countries they've mentioned, not a single one's economy have gotten better since they started growing and exporting weed. Where is the country? Show me the country that has gotten better. Is it Zimbabwe? To the extent that for the first time in my life, I've seen Zimbabwe used as a good example of economics in this house. That is appalling, Mr. Speaker. If this was to be a situation where we can control the production and the use of this for medicinal purposes, fine. But in our country, we don't have a record of policing things that are hazardous to young people. Minister, you have no idea. In fact, where is the evidence that you have the capability, you and your ministry, I'm not as a person, have the capability of policing this to make sure that a certain particular brand of, call it we or whatever you call it, is capable of doing anything? Mr. Speaker, I think we should be very careful about, because even the report, the things they talk about in the report, since the inception of this bill, even the Parent Act, I did not see any clause in there that you, the minister, recognize the potential hazard of what you are trying to do to anybody in this country. Not a single clause. You just prescribe punishment. But the problem already exists. How are you solving the existing problem, let alone adding to it? Mr. Speaker, I'm just one person. The law has already been passed. The promoters of the law, I'm told that there's a long queue of people who want to be we entrepreneurs. May it be well with them.
Gavin Zagbaja is the minority chief whip, but the chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Dr. Dominic Eyewitness, says research suggests that countries that legalize the industrial use of cannabis stand to benefit economically.
In the 20th century, Ghana, like many other countries, implemented strict regulations on cannabis due to international pressure and changing attitudes towards the plant. The cultivation and use of cannabis became illegal with intermittent periods of stricter enforcement under various governments. Despite regulatory measures against the cultivation and use of cannabis, its cultivation and use for various purposes, including recreational use, went underground, and law enforcement became problematic. In recent times, Mr. Speaker, there has been a global shift in attitudes towards cannabis, with some countries reconsidering their policies, that is, their regulatory policies, including a shift towards medicinal and recreational legalization of the plant. Mr. Speaker, the global shift and increasing realization of the benefits of cannabis cultivation for industrial and medicinal purposes was reflected in the passage of the Narcotics Control Commission Act 2020, Act 1019. This House, after deep consideration and deliberation, voted to pass the Act with a provision to legalize the cultivation and use of cannabis for industrial and medicinal purposes. The Act mandated the Minister
on the recommendation of the board to make regulations by legislative instrument to give effect to or to enable effect to be given to the Act within 12 months after the coming into force of the Act. This regulatory milestone is expected to pave the way for the development of a well-regulated cannabis industry in Ghana, ensuring its cultivation and usage to an adherence to strict guidelines and quality standards. Mr. Speaker, the smooth passage of the instrument into law was truncated as a result of the declaration of the Supreme Court in the case of Izuame Manan versus the Attorney General and the Speaker of Parliament, suit numbered J1/11/2021, which declared Section 43 of the Narcotics Control Commission Act unconstitutional. To remedy the situation, the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023 was passed into law by Parliament to empower the minister grant licenses for cannabis cultivation within the country. The committee knows that with the coming into effect of the legislation, Ghana takes a significant step towards harnessing the potential industrial and medicinal benefits of cannabis cultivation, such as the production of fiber, seed, medicine and medicine in a regulated manner. Mr. Speaker, your committee decided to conduct its own independent research into the regulatory purposes of the regulations as laid, and we made the following findings. Mr. Speaker, studies conducted by UNCTAD, that is the United Nations Commission on International Trade and Development, indicate that the industrial hemp has potential benefits to countries that have legalized its cultivation and management. These are economic, industrial, foreign exchange, employment, and medicinal benefits. Every part of the industrial hemp plant, from the roots to the flowers and seeds, have potential industrial and medicinal properties which can be a boost to the economy of the country.
That was the chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Dr. Dominic Ayine. DNA Nudge, a trailblazing force in medical and consumer genetics testing, has secured approval from Ghana's Food and Drugs Authority for the deployment of their revolutionary 4-in-1 respiratory viruses test. The test is designed to detect SARS-CoV-2, flu A, flu B, and respiratory syncytial virus, all on a single quad testing cartridge. The approval opens doors for clinical use both inside and outside labs in Ghana, heralding a new era of accessible and accurate point-of-care testing. A clinical virologist at the University of Ghana, Dr. Alexander Martin Odum, addressed the media on the sidelines of the launch of DNA Nudge in Accra.
Like I said, downsize the morphology, the structure, and increase or upsize the function. So this machine is what we call multiplex PCR diagnostic platform. It can, the one we are launching, can detect or can diagnose that an individual has 4 different viruses at a time. If you give it one sample, during COVID, you must have done COVID tests. You put it in your nose, and that one sample, when we put it in this cassette or cartridge, it will determine whether you have 4 different viruses. It can determine whether you have SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID, or you have flu organism called flu A or flu B, and one other called RSV, respiratory syncytial virus.
Dr. Alexander Martin Odum is a clinical virologist at the University of Ghana, Legon.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Mommy, please, let's go. Hey, why are you taking the whole family?
You've forgotten I said I was coming here today?
Forgive me, but we're all headed to Royal Senchi for Christmas.
But it's not Christmas yet.
Shit. Christmas has started early at the Royal Senchi. From now till 21st of December, you can book a room for 2 people at a promo rate of 1,500 cedis on bed-only basis.
You're joking. 1,500 cedis for a room at the plush Royal Senchi? Let me call my husband now.
Call 0244 958 822 or 0303 409 180 or send an email to reservations@theroyalsenchi.com. Terms and conditions apply. The Royal Senchi, your luxury riverside escape.
On 19 December 2023, vote for the women for a better Ghana. The time for women is now. Let us vote for the women for a better Ghana.
Ago, fellow Ghanaians, the Electoral Commission of Ghana has set Tuesday, 19 December 2023 for the District Assembly elections. On that day, we are encouraging all Ghanaians of voting age to go out and vote, especially for more women into our assembly.
Assembly about so no basu bronya busuni emu. Ayade da ito so edon krono. Kai say edade dru hwa obetu aba wejina on peswa so no.
There are currently over 9,000 assembly members in all the 261 assemblies in Ghana. Out of these, only about 800 are women. This is less than 10%.
Wouldn't say, why am I mu a mad so say member? Nanso, a bar assembly members are Meshana or Barbako and Nani, you baby no war assembly hall. A balosa, what 80 Mumay Namwa, Mayana Madu, or a fee assembly about to you. Anne, Omaya to Yaba and Ma.
Your vote for a woman on December 19, 2023 will help increase women representation at your assembly for equitable development.
Kai say you die about to do what your assembly more. A back one my assembly no akon kai e won to do.
When men and women take decisions together, we all win. Yes, the time for women is now. This message is brought to you by the National Association of Local Authorities of Ghana, NALA. The time for women is now. Let us vote for the women for a better Ghana. On 19 December 2023, vote for the women for a better Ghana. The time for women is now. Let us vote for the women for a better Ghana. For economic development, let us vote for the women for a better Ghana. For quality education, let us vote for the women for a better Ghana. For health and sanitation, let us vote for the women for a better Ghana.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Eno Safo. Let's settle for the details. Tax analyst Francis Timor-Boy fears taxpayers will bear the brunt of tax exemptions to companies under the One District, One Factory policy if the intended purpose is not achieved. Government has been accused of initiating considerable tax waivers to its cronies to the tune of 12 billion Ghana cedis, despite government's justification that the move will bolster the 1D, 1F initiative. But speaking to City Business News, the tax analyst noted that excessive tax waivers could be unfair to the taxpayer.
You remember that since 2017, when the 1D, 1F was launched, it came with a specific purpose to convert the way we export raw materials and make it more value addition. So the policy had a 5-year income tax holiday, and also the raw materials and equipment that they are imported, all the taxes and the duties that are supposed to be paid at the port are waived. And so the 1D, 1F was supposed to transform the economy. The companies who intend to, benefit are supposed to register with the GRA and then the Ministry of Trade. However, Parliament approves the waivers. And so if the exemptions that are being granted to these big companies with the hope that they're going to transform the economy and which should lead to economic growth are not, being directed as the minority is claiming, then that is a problem, because Ghanaians will now be denied the services that government is supposed to provide. And if these big companies who can pay are allowed to go and the poor masses are paying for government services, then that is not fair.
Francis Timorboy is a tax analyst. The Western region has recorded the highest inflation with a rate of 39.8%, whereas the Greater Accra region recorded the lowest rate of 19.8% for the month of November 2023. This is according to latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service. The data also shows that a fall in food inflation pushed year-on-year inflation to drop to 26.4%, representing an 8.8 percentage point decrease from the 35.2% recorded in October. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim highlighting the main drivers of the drop in inflation at a press briefing in Accra.
The rate of inflation stood at 26.4%. This means that between the month of November 2022 and November 2023, generally price of goods and services went up by 26.4%. The 26.4% rate of inflation that was recorded for the month of November 2023 signifies an 8.8 percentage point drop relative to the year-on-year inflation 35.2% that was recorded for the month of October 2023. Western region recorded the highest rate of inflation of 39.8%, and Greater Accra region recorded the least rate of inflation of 19.8%. From a food and non-food perspective, we saw a 10.5 percentage point difference, with food inflation 32.2% relative to 21.7% for the month of November 2023. The decline in food inflation was much steeper than the decline in non-food inflation, with food inflation dropping by 12.6 percentage points, while non-food inflation dropping by 12.6 percentage points, while non-food inflation dropped by 6.0 percentage points. From a locally produced item and in an imported item perspective, we recorded a 1.0 percentage point difference as we continue to see the dominance of imported items inflation, recording a relatively higher rate of inflation of 27.1% relative to locally produced item 26.1% for the month of November 2023.
That was government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim. Away from that, the West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management says it will intensify the monitoring of member institutions to ensure soundness of financial indicators in the sub-region. The move is to improve financial stability and build a more robust financial architecture. This push is coming at a crucial time when the soundness of financial institutions has been worsened by global disruptions, hence the need to assess financial system soundness in member countries. Here's Director General of WIFM, Dr. Babamusa, speaking on the commitment to ramp up efforts to shape the financial soundness landscape in West Africa.
Well, generally, our financial institutions appear to be in a good, stage, but you never can tell except, you check at the strength and the vulnerabilities. In the last 3 years, the whole global environment, countries around the world have experienced, slow growth. And of course, there have been many instances of, non-performing loans and many other issues that relate, that affect the financial system. So at this point in time, this is the time when we will review and check the strength and the weaknesses. And of course, it's expected that annually countries will report on their financial situations, not only to the IMF, but even our regional bodies. And every year we will need to monitor and look at the financial situation of, or at least the financial vulnerabilities in each of our countries to ensure that our financial system remain, very strong.
Dr. Babamusa is the Director General of West African Institute for Financial and Economic Management. Now, as technology continues to reshape production dynamics, the Association of Ghana Industries is calling for substantial investment in research and development, as it is paramount to staying in the forefront of evolving industry trends. The association is thus urging government to elevate its commitment to research and development in the national budget. Here's President of AGI, Dr. Humphrey Ayim Dake, speaking on the issue.
I also urge captains of industry to embrace modern technologies and automation to enhance competitiveness of local businesses on a global scale. This will enable us to produce more efficiently and stay adaptable in our ever-changing environment. Unfortunately, the government budget for research and development is about a percentage of our GDP. This is inadequate to drive science and technology and innovation in this era of globalization. We therefore urge government, through the Minister of Trade and Industry, who is a cabinet member, to scale up the budget for research and development.
That was the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Humphrey Ayim Dake. That's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News. The business news on Eyewitness News is brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Inu Safo. Up next is Point Blank.
Hello, Linda. You won't believe what I am planning next. I want to start my postgraduate degree, buy a car, and build my dream home. But you know what's stopping me?
What's that, Mike?
Money, oh. That'll be my biggest wahala.
Oh, you are sorted, Kra. With a GCB Big Move personal loan promo, you can borrow up to a whopping 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours.
Like, seriously? How do I qualify?
Yes, it's available to all GCB salary account holders. Plus, you get a 2-month grace period before you start to pay back.
Susket, I'm opening an account with GCB now.
Get a personal loan of up to 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours. Call 0800-422-422 or visit your nearest GCB branch today to fund your next big move as we celebrate 70 years of greatness. T's and C's apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You know, your Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry, Chairman Mane. Chairman. Hey, Chairman! Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Hello. Merry Christmas to you. This Christmas, the National Film Authority is organizing the Ghana Cinema Week once again. Yes, Accra, Tamale, Kumasi, Nakoshesini in Accra. Go to Silverbed Cinemas, Accra Mall, TV3, Platinum Bay Hotel, Gold Coast Restaurant, The Page at Sakama, Oyarifa Mall in Kumasi. Go to Golden Eagle Cinema in Tamale. Go to Radash Hotel from December 15th to December 22nd. Call everyone. Let's go to the cinemas. Namokoshesini Bitise, Kwashi, Heroes of Africa, Water for a Stone, The Return of Kujo, Guama, Newsman, Single No Searching, among others. Let's go watch movie. Don't miss this opportunity. For further information, please call 050-984-6023 or email us via info@nfa.gov.gh. Ghana Cinema Week, connecting people through cinema.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Tonight on Point Blank, my guest is a member of parliament for Medina, a human rights lawyer. His name is Francis Xavier Sosu. He'll be joining me in a bit. But the reason is I'll be talking about the private members bill. He's a man who sent that bill to parliament, the anti-witchcraft bill, which went to the doors of the presidency and has since returned to the doors of parliament. The president says he will not sign it. I'll ask him what the status of that particular bill is. And also today, we've just seen an announcement that he has also brought a new bill. Now that bill is seeking to ensure Muslims have 2 holidays, or Ghanaians have 2 holidays when Muslims are celebrating the Eid al-Fitr and the Eid al-Adha. It's my personal advocacy. I'm excited about that. But I'll be asking him the questions that ought to be asked for him to explain. He also has this proposal where he's saying that should a holiday fall on a Saturday, let's not celebrate or mark it on Monday. Essentially, for instance, in January, there's going to be a holiday on the 7th of January, which is a Constitution Day, to be on the weekend. Typically, what happens is that the holiday will be observed on the Monday. He's saying that that is a pointless thing. He also suggests that holidays be moved to the Fridays, so that a holiday does not fall on a Monday or on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday. It would be taken to a Friday. So if a holiday falls on a weekend, it is observed on the weekend. And if it is in a midweek, it is pushed to Friday. The question people were asking is that would that not make our holidays one too many and lower productivity? So those are the questions that I'll be putting to him. But the most recent one would be the one where he's asking for the Muslims to be, not only Muslims, but all Ghanaians to be allowed to have 2 holidays on the Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, the 2 big celebrations or festivals of the Muslim population. Honorable Medina Member of Parliament Francis Xavier Sosu, a member of the 2 No Pre-Second Association. You're welcome to.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you?
You know I'm an honorary member, right?
Oh, you are annoying us.
My Jusa mate and
you are annoying. You are annoying us. You are annoying. What?
Presec is in my constituency, so it's proud to have Presec in your constituency, particularly when we are like 8 times champions and we're doing. So
are you done? Are you done?
We
can move on.
We can go ahead.
How are you doing, boss?
Yeah, by God's grace, I'm doing well, and I hope you are doing well.
And well, I should also say that you are one of the skinniest members of parliament. You've been in parliament for, this is your how many years?
I think 2.5 years.
And you still haven't grown fat. We are not getting largesse or because you're an opposition MP.
When you're working from opposition, it's not easy.
The system hard.
Charlie,
but I'm not sure you are not destined to have pot belly. You're like Bernard. People are like that now. Anyway,
someday we'll ferry.
No, nothing. People, even if they pump you with bicycle pump, nothing will happen. Anyway, your bro, how are you?
Yeah, by God's grace.
Everything good?
Yeah, we're doing very well. It's
good to see you. How is Medina?
Medina is doing well. Alhamdulillah, everything is going well. We have our own challenges and all that, but by and large, I think that we are doing quite well, and we are moving in the right direction. I think this week we did. We were doing our waterfall project, which was one of the ways, our educational intervention to provide potable water for all basic schools, the 54 basic schools. And we've done 10 so far, still working on them. So gradually.
Just by way of update, your policeman that was taken from you sometime, has he been given back to you?
Yes, please.
So he's back. You have you have security now.
He's back.
Okay,
yes.
That's fine. Let's talk about the things you've been up to. Before we talk about the holidays for the Muslims, let's talk about the anti-witchcraft bill. You brought that to Parliament.
That is correct.
So this is you are using the avenue of the private members bill. That is where the state does not bring the bill to make it a law, but a member of Parliament would then propose it. That's what happens, right?
That is correct.
How has that thing been? Is this the first time we are experimenting with it?
Well, no. It was introduced in the 7th Parliament.
So Okwe's tenure.
Yeah. In fact, his ruling was what gave private members opportunity to file private members bills, because until him, the position had been that based on Article 108, almost every bill that we introduce by all means will require paper of public, so it would have some financial implication. So technically, we had a wrong understanding of that Article 108, but he ruled that private members could bring bills, and that it was not wrong. And so the first bill that was brought was by Honorable Ras Mubarak, and it had to do with amendment to the traffic, Ghana traffic, or I think traffic regulations or something.
Okay.
Yeah, if my memory serves me right.
Okay.
And so what we're doing now basically is we are the second generation. Ras began.
So Ras began it for you and then opened the floodgate. And you have been doing a number, 16, as many as 16 private members bill.
Yeah.
Within how many years in Parliament?
Well, that's 2.5 years or almost approximately.
So the criminal offences bill, you sponsored that. That's the one that is called the anti-witchcraft.
No, we have two criminal offences bill. One of them was death penalty.
So this is a death penalty.
That one, the president has already signed that one.
That's a right to life.
Yeah, right to life. That
was 2022.
Yes.
Then Armed Forces Amendment Bill. What did you want the soldiers to do?
That was also, the soldiers also had provisions on death penalty. And so we removed them. It's also passed, except that was the one that the president is here to sign.
That's the one he's here to sign. Yes. Then you have Criminal Offences Amendment Bill. That's the witchcraft one.
That is correct.
So that one is not been done. Yes. We'll come to that. Compensation Bill. What's that about?
Well, that's about persons who are wrongfully arrested and wrongfully detained.
Okay, they should be compensated
by the state, because we have penalty unit for people who have offended the state.
Okay.
So there must be some compensation unit for persons that the state have violated.
And that's pending, right?
Yes, that's pending.
Then provision of minimum employment of persons with disabilities.
Yeah, so the idea is to introduce a regime where there'll be both public and private organizations can employ at least minimum of 5% of persons with disability. If we do that, when we look at the proposal and look at the total number of persons with disability we have in Ghana, we shouldn't have any person with disability who is willing and able or who wants to work.
Who is not employed.
Who is not employed.
So that's also pending.
Yeah, it solves that problem of like what we had, like the minister closure of the toll booth and all that. It resolves that matter.
Amendment of National Health Insurance Act. Amendment of, okay, so the NHI you have 3.
Yeah, we have 3.
Then Legal Profession Amendment Bill.
Yes.
Climate Change Bill. Then we have... which one is this?
Tax on VAT.
To remove the 15% VAT on menstrual hygiene and products, a bill to reduce the 20% import duty and customs excise. Then a bill to amend Section 57 of the Labour Act that talks about what? Extend maternity leave. So from 12 weeks to 16 weeks. Okay. And provide for related... Are you also asking for fathers to also get some?
Yes. Paternity leave in that one also.
And then a bill to amend Section 54 of the Labour Act. That's paternity leave. Then a bill to amend the Public Holidays Act, which is the latest one. And then a bill to amend the Public So 2 holidays.
Yeah, 2 holidays.
Okay, talk to me about this, your plan. First of all, the Eid al-Adha and the Eid al-Fitr one, before we talk about the weekend holidays.
Well,
what's this idea coming from? I may have influenced you. I'm happy I did, or I have not, because I have been a long advocate for this. Yeah. But I'm sure you've had consultations with people who have given you this idea.
That is correct. I think that one of the people I have followed who have made a lot of argument on this is yourself, and you have, and I think a number of times we've had conversation on this and looking at the possibility of making this happen. And when I was going around in Medina also, Medina has a very dominant, or at least a very substantial Islamic population. So when I came, as one of the ways of reaching out to the Islamic community, I began a project called the Islam Project. So the Islam Project was devising creative ways of representing the interests of persons of Islamic faith. So we had like the Makaranta improvement, and we did the Makaranta harmonization project, where we have a common curriculum for all Makarantas. We are still developing it. Okay. And then we have our special Eid al-Fitr. We have like the Salah Fest. We have the Ramadan outreaches and all that. And one of the creative ways I sought to represent the people of Medina was to introduce this bill. And so before I began, one of the very senior sheikhs, who is very learned in Medina Zongo, is Sheikh Salman, who has actually, who guided the process, provided like even research support to the process for me to be able to come together with a memo which we could submit to Parliament. Of course, there are several interest groups. There are Muslim MPs around that have consulted to have a look at the proposal, and people have actually endorsed the position and believe that it is the way to go.
So what are you proposing? What's in this your bill?
So the proposal is to introduce 2 new holidays. One is called a Tashriq holiday. The Tashriq holiday is a day after the Eid Adha festival.
Okay.
And so if I want to look at when you reach the Holy Quran, the maximum number of days required for such holidays would be 3, naturally. So in some, of course, Islamic states, some have as much as 16 days, 6 days. But Ghana is a secular state, we know. So to meet the Islamic community halfway, we introduced the Tashriq holiday, which is the day after the Eid Adha, so that if, depending on what you want to do, some may pray the first day and slaughter the second day. Some may pray and slaughter the first day and take the second day as maybe a rest day before they go back to
or a sharing or distribution of midday.
Distribution of the midday. And then the Shak holiday is a day before the Eid al-Fitr. And you know that because the Eid al-Fitr is a religious practice, and sometimes it depends on the position or the sighting of the new moon. And sometimes the calculation is such that even in Ghana as a practice, you see people celebrating Eid one day and the following day another set is celebrated. So to cure that, you create a regime where you have 2 holidays. A day before the Eid al-Fitr is known as a Shak day. And so in Arabic, so you have the Shak holiday, which goes with the Eid al-Fitr. So if this amendment carries, it means that Muslims generally in Ghana, and more specifically in my constituency, Medina, have the opportunity to celebrate those 2 days or have holidays for those 2 days. And you also know that the Eid al-Fitr actually comes after a very long
30-day
religious requirement. And this, both children, unless you fall within the exceptional or the exceptions, everybody is supposed to fast. And you can imagine young people in school who fast for these days and have to immediately after Eid go back to school. So these 2 days give them the space to actually rest. And of course, not only them, then every Ghanaian also, if you are a holiday or you want to use your holiday for any other thing, you get a chance to use it anyway. And so this is the whole idea around it. The whole thing also is to promote religious diversity, inclusiveness, and also, I think that these are the ideas behind this.
I see. Have you consulted with the Office of National Chief Imam on this proposal?
Well, I have consulted with that office, and I think that the sense I get is that this position is endorsed, and not only that office, but I've been dealing with a number of Islamic both sheikhs and Islamic leaders around who I have spoken to with this matter. In fact, if you look at even the use of the word Tashriq holiday and then the Shak holidays, these were research that was done by Islamic sheikhs who guided the process. Yes.
What do you say to people who say, well, this is not a Muslim country, it's not a Christian country, so why are you working on getting a holiday for Muslims?
Well, I think
when
that,
they already have one, Rawlings gave it to them. Why are you adding more?
Well, I think that, I mean, let's be honest to ourselves. I mean, the two dominant religions in Ghana is Islamic religion and Christian religion. Already, I think Christians have a number of days. Of course, we have the New Year Day, which everybody also celebrates. We have the Good Friday, which everybody celebrates. We have the Easter Monday, which everybody still celebrates. Of course, then we have the Christmas Day and then the Boxing Day, right? And so to have these 4 days, which are just religious requirement, I don't think that should be too much of a problem. I mean, for me, you want to create a society. Ghana is neither a Christian country nor a Muslim country. It's a secular country. And for every secular country to survive, you must have equal respect for every grouping, no matter how many of them exist. And these are people you may call minority rights. And so the only time you have issues of conflict and disturbances is when people who feel they are in a minority and they feel marginalized or they feel they are not being brought into the mainstream of society. So what this does, because I'm a Christian and of course, and I preach. And so if I am in Medina and I have the chance to be the leader or a member of parliament in Medina and I'm dealing with all these interest groups, I should be able to reassure my base that, look, I'm there for you. And things that champions your interests, I'm willing to do that. And so, in my view, I think that is the best way to rather promote inclusiveness, religious diversity, and get everybody in and let everybody know that everybody matters. Christians matter, Muslims matter, everyone in Ghana matters. Yeah.
What about the other leg of the debate that says, hold on a minute, we have so many holidays already, unproductive days, that is, and then you are now asking for 2 more to be added to the days that we already have? How would you respond to that?
Well, my response to that is the reason for the other bill. In fact, there are 2 bills that are addressing that are seeking to amend the Holidays Act. Now, the other one is what I even call the productivity and efficiency in holidays, and that one seeks to amend. The holidays, the current Holidays Act gives the president the power to change holidays that fall on weekdays to to Monday.
Weekends.
On weekends to Monday. Now, if this amendment carries, it means that power is stripped off. So if your holiday falls on Saturday, you mark it. If your constitutional day falls on Saturday, we mark it. If it falls on Sunday, you mark it. That way, you don't affect the days that are working days that people will have to go to work.
So if the holiday is on Saturday, you don't push it to Monday?
You don't push it to Monday. If it's on Sunday, you don't push it to Monday. And in fact, let's be really frank again, as a people, we are growing our democracy. Why do we move holidays from weekends? And what do we really achieve with that?
Because we want to know that we didn't go to work for this holiday.
Because the commemorative days and these holidays are supposed to, in other jurisdictions, what they do is that if the government has to issue a statement to mark the day, it is done. If there must be small ceremony at the presidency or at some local assembly, we do it. But we don't move it to a working day when business must go on.
But the idea of a holiday is that no school, no work. And if it fell on a Sunday, already we don't have. So we push it to Monday, let's celebrate it.
I think that is the natural thing to think. But I think that if we really want to improve productivity and we want to work more, now we are all trying to work hard to build Ghana. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has said, talk about 24-hour economy, and we are hoping that the reason is that we want to improve productivity. We want many more time or many more hours hands-on work, And so for me, that is the essence of this proposal, so that we have more working hours, for all of us as a people, so we can improve productivity. We can improve our gross domestic product at the end of the year. And also, that amendment is not only affecting weekends, but also holidays that fall on what we call the productive days.
Okay.
When you research into like between Monday and Friday,
work culture,
there are days that are called productive days. Sometimes you see people come to work on Monday and then Tuesday is a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to go to beach. They have hangovers,
drink some glasses.
Then they will come back on Wednesday and they wake up. So it all affects productivities. And some people, you come to work, or you maybe there is a long holiday, you go and it falls on Saturday, it's brought on Monday, then you enjoy your Monday. Tuesday you come to work, then Wednesday there's another holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of affects the long-term effect is that your people don't become as productive as they should be. And that is why you move all holidays that fall within those productive days, that's Tuesdays and Thursdays, you move them to Friday. In fact, that is a practice that is known as bank holidays. In other jurisdictions, that's how they call them, because it originated as something, a practice in the banks, where when holidays fall within productive days and you are a banking institution, you move them to what they call the non-productive days. Then eventually became like practices for nations. And so we are simply calling it like efficiency and productivity, holiday bill. That's how like we're trying to how do you call it, to shorten
it?
Yeah,
so are you saying that if a holiday falls on Monday, we should not observe it, or we should?
We will observe it
if it's a Monday.
Yes,
but if
because it is coming after
a weekend.
Yeah, weekend.
Okay, but if it is Tuesday
all the way to
Wednesday,
Thursday, push it to Friday.
Okay, that is your thinking. That's your proposal.
Yes.
Okay. Someone has sent me a message saying that I should remind you. Let me just read it. It's Edlina who sent that message. Just find it in a bit. It says that, yes, it said, please tell him that weekend is already a holiday. So your plan to push another holiday into a holiday will not work.
Unfortunately, when you read the Holidays Act of Ghana, the current Holiday Act of Ghana, which is Act 626,
Saturday and Sunday is not part.
The current Holidays Act, actually the most current one, which is the Public Holidays Amendment Act 2019, Act 986. Saturdays and Sundays are not
so your proposals are two.
Yes.
A bill to amend the current Public Holidays Act by Francis Xavier Sosu to extend the period of public holidays for Muslims to 2 days, from the current 1 day to 2 days. So for the two major celebrations, there should be 2 days each.
That is correct.
Your second proposal for an amendment of the bill on the Public Holidays Act is to remove the power of the president to declare additional public holidays that fall on weekend into Monday.
That is correct.
And that if a holiday falls on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we should not mark it then, push it to Friday so that it will form part of the weekend.
Absolutely.
This is your proposal.
That is a proposal.
How popular is this with your colleagues in Parliament?
Well, I think that I have run it by a number of members, my colleagues, who are really happy about the proposal. And a number have already reached out and said that before the bill is gazetted, they are willing to be part of.
What's the next step of this? So has this been accepted?
Yes, it's been sent to usually when you do a bill, you send it to the Clerk of Parliament, and this has gone since way back since the 29th of November.
Okay, so it will be tabled.
It's been tabled. It's been referred to drafting. So drafting department, usually they will conduct their own independent investigation, and then they will bring even though we have a draft, they will bring their draft. It's just like all the other bills. For example, like the tax on PAD, for example, they just finished the final draft.
The issue of the fact that if it will cost us money, it should not be allowed to pass. Won't declaring a day a holiday cost us money? How would you maneuver your way out of that constitutional quagmire?
Not necessarily. If you look at, that's why you have to have like a holistic view of what we're doing.
So put it together, not one thing. Exactly. Don't just say that Muslims are getting two more holidays, but rather say that some of the holidays that will be in the weekdays will be pushed to the weekend.
So it's when you balance it, you
productivity
see that productivity-wise, we are good.
Finally,
and that does not affect Article 108.
I'm very happy. I'll come in. Do I have to write a petition to support you, or I should come and do?
You can send a memo. Or I should. You can do.
Okay, we can bring memo, or support you with Momo, so that you can print the paper.
You know the right thing.
We'll do feasibility in Juma for you. But on the anti-witchcraft bill, and we have just 30 seconds to go. The president has returned it to the House. Is that what has happened?
Yes.
What happens next?
So when the president returns it, under the law, Article 106, he's supposed to, within 14 days, tell us the specific reasons and the specific provision that he has problems with. we are hoping that it will come so that we can reconsider the bill in the light of his proposals. But if that doesn't happen, in fact, I hope that he didn't get it right when he referred to Article 108, because 108 referred to parliamentary procedure as to how to admit some of these bills. It doesn't apply to the executive at all. So I'm hoping that even within these 14 days, he will reconsider his decision to sign the bills into law.
So he hasn't said anything yet? He hasn't brought a formal written notice to you?
Not yet. Within the 14 days, he hasn't brought that explanation yet.
Very well. Yeah. Thank you so much. I beg your pardon. Thank you so much for joining us for Point Blank, and we wish you all the best. And I personally am supporting you in this campaign. I'll do a few more Fisa Bill and they will come and join.
In fact, it's very, very important. Thank you very much. And may Almighty Allah bless us all.
Amin too. That's Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu. Are you a junior pastor?
An associate pastor.
Associate pastor. Which church?
Living Streams Church of Christ. Yeah.
Okay, and he's a member of parliament for Medina. Someone said I should add Lanquantana to your constituency, but I don't think it's correct.
The Lanquantana is part of the municipality.
That's
the
name district name.
Yeah.
Okay, but Madina, the constituency.
Medina, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So, member of parliament for It used to be Abokobi Medina. Now it's just Medina.
That's correct.
Okay, that's member of parliament for Medina. He was my guest on Point Blank. My name is Umaru Sandamado. Thank you for joining us on Eyewitness News tonight. Production by Kobna Wilson and Beverly London. Technical support from Daniel Squashi, and Daniel Anyoriga helped us with new media support. We'll be back tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening and have a good night.